It's used throughout South Florida for many of the things that are related to this. The best practice has always been used that if there is no score, 650 has always been the reasonable score to be judged upon. However, Omega Villas does not have a minimum credit score or a minimum earning. This was a conversation that was brought up during rules and regulations. We just simply didn't capture it. So I contributed to that misunderstanding because I had mentioned it out loud and said that score. So I want to just go on record and say that Blair is correct. Our rules and regulations do not say that. We quoted a best practice, but we do not use that best practice. Anybody who's here, if they had a cash deal, okay, there's minimum earning, there's minimum credit scores all over. We do not do that. We use our risk evaluation to determine if this is going to be the right fit for us. So, Blair, I want to just, go on record and just kind of compliment what you said and make sure that everybody's aware of the fact that that does not exist here. It certainly is something that we need to evaluate without a doubt. But as of right now, what that put into your rules and regulations and mailed is your current rules and regulations, and that's what's in it.
What's that? What was changed?
Nothing. We were saying there's no minimum credit score listed anywhere. I quoted the two credit bureaus that we use, that the best practice that many of them recommend is 650. However, we do not have that in our documents or our rules and regulations. But it is absolutely something that we should reevaluate. And quite honestly, I believe 700 should be the score. That's just an opinion.
I think it's a 2/3 vote, and there's litigation that comes out of that too.
Excuse me,
No,
I have not
it's
finished.
just a vote of your rules and regulations. It's a vote of your rules and regulations, Sean.
I would like my statement to be placed in the record and the minutes for this meeting to correct inaccurate information that is being reported by a board member.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Blair. We're recording. I do want to add on, piggyback to what Blair and Jay said. When we were going through the revisions of rules and regulations, our attorney asked, do you have guidelines for buyers? We said, well, not really. As far as credit scores, we should establish stuff so that every buyer, you're going by criteria that are consistent. Renters are a little bit different because at the end of the day, who's financially responsible for the unit is the unit owner. So, and the question came to her, says, okay, what are some associations doing? What are the ranges that associations are using? And that's kind of where we left it, because then came the negotiation of the contract and getting the loan, and we never finished rules and regulations. But I told the board members that this is something we have to bring back on the table, because we need to finish the rules and regulations. It just hasn't been a priority right now to update them. That's how it came about. So that's the history on that. All right, any other question for open forum?
Well, I missed most of that conversation, but I can say that there's been several lawsuits filed because we have, for us in particular, we have at least 10% of our community that are LLCs or corporations renting that have tenants. Now, on average, yes, if you're screening somebody, you can do background checks and they have a clean history and those things. You don't want to make it harder for people to rent units, especially companies that are invested here. So I think that some logic and some balance needs to be applied there. And nothing too harsh like 700 when most, I don't know what the average score is these days, but 700 for some people, especially if they don't have a criminal background and no issues, it shouldn't be a problem for them to rent. If they're 650, I don't think 650 or 630 maybe, whatever it is, would be bad.
We don't know what the magic number is, but keep in mind that this association just came out of a lot of unit owners in default. So it's into the best interest of the association to make sure that we approve buyers that can afford to live here.
got to a point that most people couldn't afford it. And you have a lot of retirees in here.
No, you actually have a process that we have to use by law in a condominium association. It's written right in the statute. It was put in place in the July legislative session in the last couple of
About
years.
what?
It basically says that an association is not allowed to knowingly bring a sexual offender into the property. So you have to have a background check done on everybody that's coming in to buy, because we have a school
Nobody
very
said anything
close.
against that.
Yes, we do. We have a school
I'm
that's
not-
close
I'm
to
not
us,
saying that. I'm
and they
saying-
say that we have to have a
I
background
never
check
said-
done. So, the company that we use automatically does a credit check with the background check. The person consents to the background check, they also have a credit score. We're privy to the credit score, we just don't have an
We
enforceability.
don't have a guideline yet, we need to, because we came out of a
That's
very
why we know
bad
the credit
fall.
score, because it comes with the background.
And can I clarify? We do not, the credit score is not a major deciding factor for renters, because the renters are not the ones who are responsible for the payment to us, to the association. It's not the renter, it's the owner. And as long as the owner is paying, we don't really care if the renter is paying them or defaulting. That's between the owner and the renter, not the association, okay? So, we are not, and never have, and never will, let me just clarify that first. I shouldn't say never, probably never will, put a minimum on a renter, because it's not relevant. Okay, does that make
Sure.
sense to y'all?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
They are still subject to a background check.
But they are, so yes, they do get a background check, because we do have to see what they're all about, okay? Because we are so close to the school, okay? Within a mile of a school, you gotta do it.
By law, you have to knowingly know who is coming in and living in your association.
What else do we use as requirements for rentals?
We do, references, we do, eviction notices, we take a look at their
Write-offs.
background, so.
So with the credit check, that should show an eviction, does it not?
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily, okay. But I understand the point, because really, it's the owner that you've got.
Yeah, the owner is the one that has the legal financial obligation of the association, not the renter. There's a law that if a unit owner defaults, the association can have the renter pay the association instead of paying the unit owner. So there are things to protect associations. So it's really, really important to make sure we have some type of guideline, and that those guidelines are utilized for all buyers moving forward. And that's what we have to, with the guidance of the attorney and the management company, of what is the industry standard for buyers? What is that credit score? I'm not sure.
If there is a unit that goes into any kind of bank foreclosure and the bank comes in and owns the unit outright or takes over the note from that person, the association has the legal right to rent out that unit and take rents and apply it towards the unpaid maintenance.
Yeah.
That's done all over.
I am not aware, since I've been on the board for, 12 years, something like that, 15 years, I am not aware of us having to collect the maintenance from a renter. All of our owners have paid, some a little late, some have to be, nudged a little bit, given a late notice, but we get their money. So we have not gone to a renter to try to collect the money. So